complicated. They're two different realities which merge into one. Both of them have been spoken about by my illustrious colleagues. I just want to try to give a summation. Rabbi Bleich came to debunk the theory that the shibud, the chasam and shibud aguf, and there's no problem of ribbis at all whatsoever. There's a tshuva Rav Moshe and the Marashag. We'll try to talk about that. I'm in full agreement. There's the rice of the Rabbanon that we can discuss, but that it's mutter, it seems to me impossible. But it's also a question of not so much the fact that a corporation that has limited liability, but that mixes into the question of a corporation that's owned primarily by goyim. That's most of the situations that we deal with are in that category. And the two things sort of get mixed in together. We'll try to go la'at. We won't finish it today. There's always the next time. So what siman am I up to? So I'm still in some way lagging behind in siman kuf samach, but I will go quickly to kuf samach ches. So we'll jump. Back in siman kuf samach, sif yud ches, there's Rabbi Kiva Eger. Kiva Eger. He's going on the Ramah. The Ramah says, I will be Ribbis the Rabbanon Shari. Discussing a particular question of apotropsim, Yisomim Ketanim, etc., etc. Ribbis, some have Ribbis Tzutza, it's a tos, but Ribbis the Rabbanon, we know it's winter. These are the words of the Rabbi Kiva Eger. Im echad nishtadef im Yisomim v'apotropos hilva hamos b'Ribbis. Oh, here's our first whiff of some kind of a partnership. A plain Jew and Mos Yisomim. Mehem be'avak Ribbis, which would be permissible for the Yisomim but prohibited for the plain Yid. Umehem b'derech heter gamer, heter iska presumably. Yesh lomar, shutaf, the plain Jew, yochol litel meharevach shebeheter legamri, he can take whatever Ribbis he's entitled to. Neged mashiyitlu v'yisomim merevach she'de'avak Ribbis. In other words, there's two kinds of Ribbis coming here. One is heter iska, and one is avak Ribbis. We'll pin the avak Ribbis on the Yisomim, and we'll attribute, it's a better word to use, we'll attribute the legitimate that I can take to heteriska to me, so I don't lose anything. Why? The bidrabanan kaimalon yesh breira. Yesh breira. Everyone knows about breira. I'm not going to tell you what breira means. Usually we translate breira as retroactive qualification. Huvra dolam afreya. That's one way to translate it, but breira. Then he says, ayin b'tshuvas ma'arit chelak aleph simin kuf tezayin. I have the ma'arit here somewhere. I brought a whole bunch of svarim, but we'll open up as many as we have time for. This is the Rabbi Kiva as we begin. Fine. That's item number one. The breira plays a role in these kinds of situations. Item number two is in Siman Kuf Samaches. The Taz Sifkot Lamed Beis. What happens over here? Mol shel Yisrael mufkodos biad goy, v'hilva osam liyisrael b'Ribbis, v'mhoyu b'achrayas hagoy mutal ligach Ribbis, v'machrayas Yisrael also says the Taz koser rivosh tavi Ribbis kitzutza can koser darke Moshe. We have a Ribbis kitzutza situation over here, even though what's happening in real life is that goy is giving money to a Jew, but it doesn't matter. It's Ribbis kitzutza. We'll get to these details as we go. But these are my two original sources. My main focus of today's shiur is Bris Yehuda, who says many things, but most of them are Remiza. You have to go look up the sources. That's what I did. Looked up the sources in Bris Yehuda, Perek Lamed, Os Mem Gimel. What's he talking about? Chevra o bank. Sharov Meno Yosef and Bidei Akum. So you understand very well, already you're talking about a chevra and a bank. Two things we're talking about are already mixed into the first three words in this Sif Tezayin. And there's obviously a very lengthy footnote, which is the main topic of today's Chaburah. And we'll go slow. It all started more than 100 years earlier, when they had these kind of shpar kasas, pashkos balehon Yehudim, imo b'li shut v'sakum, kama lovim hoyu Yehudim, Donim Achronim become Tzadim Sheish B'hem. So the Kama Chidushim, Yisodiyim, he'll try to bring Thomas's Devrayim. He's terrific. There's no one like him. The Bris Yehuda is. The first is the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, was already mentioned by previous Chaburahs. Also finished. You can't invest in it. You can't take from it. You can't give to it. Nothing. Nothing. Why? He quoted with Shulchan we just saw. The Mosa B'Achrayas Yisrael Mashkia. He's going to lose. Whereas the Kemaosov Shal Yisrael Mufkodim B'Etzel Akam the Kamen Sim Kuf Samaches Tesivcha Fa'af Tesivcha V'Dal B'Achrayas Yisrael Balam Haman also Lulvos Men Ribbis. And the Rivosh says it's Ribbis Doraisa. With Doraisa Larmin and Breira. Oh, he already favored Breira, right? No. Fine. Skipping a little bit now. Enough for now. Uveshut Shalom Meshiv Heshid the Marash Ganfried is contemporary. Pepshidus Lahatir. I'm not studying Rashi now. I can't go into that now. Mitam Breira. I B'Doraisa and Breira? No. A Tosin Tumura Daf Lamed. The Kollel She'isa Baba Taruvis. The Chuliyalma Yesh Breira. Right? Chuliyalma Yesh Breira. Period. And so far, we got the basics. Good? At the end of the tshuva, he asked Rav Ganfried, it was one of the most popular sforim by a living author ever. It was printed so many times in his lifetime, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. He said, do me a favor, Rabbeinu Shlomo, when you print it next time, change your mind. He did not change his mind. He printed it many times more with the same Isser, which, see me, makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. So these are the two protagonists whose words have been quoted in previous Chaburahs, and I want to talk about it a little bit more. We have different people who have different things to say. Let's discuss just as an initial point, the point that the Sholem Meshiv is making based on the Tosos in Tamura, Kol She'isa Ba B'Taruvis. It starts with the Taruvis, everyone gives Yesh Breira. So the Achronim ask, what do you mean it starts with Taruvis? This money belonged to a Yid. Before the Yid got involved with the bank, it was Yiddish Geld. What do you mean? So it's not Baba. The money didn't come into the world immaculate conception as part of a corporation. It belonged to Yankel. So he doesn't understand the words. What's the Ivra of the Sholem Meshiv? Think about it, it's right or wrong. The Ivra doesn't make any sense. This is the Achronim Esakasha against the Sholem Meshiv. So about this, I saw, again, the Marama comments I'm having, just about all of them came from the Bris Yehuda in this footnote. I'll read you as much as I can, as time allows. Oh. There's a sefer called the Shvilei David, who was a contemporary of these Gedolim, apparently, a little bit later. And he says he calls the same question. Manasseh is in Tov Mem Ches Hilchos Mechiras Chametz, because this ties to do with Pesach Chametz as well. Sifkat now I'm giving you the Osios. Yud Gimel. Manasseh l'sheva bas Armena beitim alalu. Right? They buy things for Pesach. What do? Yeah, the Yisrael of Yaakov Meshutfim behem, and the Goyish prize, no problem. It's Shal Goyim. V'lo shayach b'zelom abreira. The Mashalokach hu shchel ka'akim. The Zeh Yitochen k'shecholko v'ashutfus. Avam shutfus and kayemes. V'im rotzen l'shtate b'chol chelech v'chelech. Eich Yitochen b'zebreira. Chi oni yicholim l'chalek shutfus shalachem shalom mirtzona. Breira means, after you split something off, can you say, I'm taking this part, you're taking that part, arbitrarily. They didn't split anything up yet. They're still partners. They're still making bucks on this corporation. What are you talking about? That's Aleph. And he says further than that. Talks about the Ribbis Shaila. It's a bigger Shaila, he says. A big in Chama Yoser. The Shpar Kasa. The Israelim Va'akam Shutfim Aydei Aktzia V'Lovin B'Ribbis. Achrayis Moas Aydei Abalam Shutfim Shpar Kasa. Kolechad Achrayusa Kevi Chelko Umishorsim Ayoshim Sham. The tellers, whatever they. Machnisim Otzian Amos Ba'alva. Hem Shluchin Shal Al Chelek Shal Abamish Kolechad B'Aktzia Shalom. Umavam B'Shutfis Mos Yisrael. Because the Sholem Meshiv He says Breira, yeah. He says Breira equals a Tosin Tmur Daf Lamed. Okay, fine. 2 questions he has. Number 1, Eich Matzinu Kazeh Breira B'Shutfin Loma Dezachelek Akam. Dem Rotzen Nishtadeh B'Chol Eisek. Ve'eich Efshal Lechalek Shutfin Shal Acharim Shalom Midaitam. That's a question he already said before. That was an Os Yud Gimel, now an Os Tetzvav. But then it says Tezayin. But Haruvas Yesh Breira. No. Haregam Kodem Taruvis. Hoyashal Yisrael. V'osel Havas Ribbis. What do you mean? It has nothing to do with Tosis and Tvur Daf Lamed. There, the Isa came, right? There it's a different story. Here the Isa comes before the Taruvis. The Taruvis came before the Isa. What are you talking about? This is his kasha in Os Tezayin. So to answer this kasha first, there are many kashas over here. I want to answer this kasha first. This goes back to Chav Gimel and Dalet. Mashik Shesi Tezayin Kana Isa Nika B'Kol Taruvis. So there's nothing to talk about. No, it's okay. We're going to answer that question. Why? Listen to this. When you put your money into this group, this corporation, if he's selling his dollars, his whatever he's giving in to this partnership, let's not remember. In those days, there were literally coins or dollar bills or whatever bills they had in Europe. So I put in $100 into this corporation that has, it has $900. So now everything's thrown into one big pile, and I sold you my 100, you sold me back your 900. That's what happened. It's a sale from one to the other, and therefore he says, right? We can say Breira. Brings a raya from a Tosis in Beitza. If we have a chance, we'll get to it. I'll say. Kemish in the Stadtfeld Bottle Shmo Rishon V'Nasa Shalom Mikoach Chelek HaShutfus V'Zelo Hoyanika Me'olam B'Fnei Atzmo. And the Chasam Sofer said so. This kind of situation, and he explains Ponim Chadoshos Bo Lekan. I like that. It's not a Sheva Brachos. Po Chadoshos Bo Lekan. That's how he answers this kasha. Okay, so this kasha we can answer. But the first kasha is a bombshell kasha. What kind of breira? They're still maintaining their full partnership. They're making they're dividing up the profits. What kind of breira? So this question was already asked by the Maram Shik. The Maram Shik asks this question in Yeredeya, Simin Kuf Nun Ches. Tamsel breira. See, this is the first paragraph after the opening. Tamsel breira. He said like this. He quotes from the Sholem Eshev. He's the Rosh HaMedarben to be Mekel. He says as follows. What? He says, no. Adat adahachad nasan kolechad v'yachad lo shikach devdavka chelko shutaf yitel lefi amamono. Right? Im chalku, if they divide it, maybe. Acha chaluka, maybe. But right now, what kind of breira? Hitel chelko b'chol pruta. Everyone is involved, and they're still doing business together. So what kind of breira? This is his kasha. He doesn't understand breira at all. The problem is, what about Rabbi Kiveger? Kiveger's case, there was also no chalukah. They're still in the corp. It's called partnership together. Who's the partnership? Ayid, Yankel, and Yisayman. And still, Kiveger talks about breira, and not only does he say breira himself, but he even quotes a source, a Maharit. So I brought the Maharit too. Try to bring as many from as I can. Okay? Chelik Aleph, Kuf Tezayin. In this tshuva, the Maharit talks about something along these lines, and he wants to suggest a concept of breira. Now, the question becomes, how can there be breira? The kasha of the Maram Shik and of the Shvilei David seems to be insurmountable. Insurmountable. Oh, but I found someone else who has a kasha. We have a relative here. The Minchas Pitim. I brought all the Svarim in. Why not? Where's the Minchas Pitim? Oh, here it is. This is in Siman Kuf Samach Sif Tezayin. Here's as follows. The Rabbanon, let's say the Rabbanon Yesh Breira. So what do you mean? So the Goyish money was lent to the Jews, and the Jewish money lent to the Goyim. Ke'en them b'marit, chelik alas in the Kuf Tezayin. U'b'komak am tzarachiyim. Lo shayach breira, rak li'acha shechalku. Aval hocha b'shas alva, shemavan li'yisrael b'Ribbis, hema b'shut fusehem, adayin. Yesh Yisrael chelik b'alva, zu kafi chelkam. Over him oz al Yisrael Ribbis, at least midivreim akal panim. Called the Torah in the Rosh, it's a shalav d'oraisa. So he doesn't understand. Yeah, so what exactly did the Marit say? We haven't. They were asking the same kasha, but the Marit is the Marit. So we have to see if we can find out what exactly he said. Got to try to find out where he said it, and we'll see. Did not write down the Masal, the Marit. I can't find it this minute. We'll find it later. Okay. Well, let's go further. So it could be that what's the B'ki Vega talking about to defend his position? There's an Isser Ribbis, right? Told me Isser Ribbis the Rabbanon. Ribbis the Rabbanon was spoken on in previous Chaburahs. You're over when you take the money. You take the money, that's when you're over. Oh, so B'ki Vega is saying when you take the money, we'll say Yesh Breira. So I'll take money from the Heter Iska, and the Yisama will take the money from the Avak Ribbis. Oh, but we're talking about a situation where there is the Yisa Daraisa, where the tzitz itself is already a problem before you even take a penny. So that might be a little bit different. Okay? Perhaps. Oh. We should add, it was spoken also previous Chaburahs, could be there is no more Ribbis Tzutza for us, because it's all done with checks. And according to check might be En Gufa Mammon, was spoken about before. So maybe you put all the coolers together, you perhaps have something. Perhaps, maybe. So then I found a sheet which I was shocked to find. I don't know, I'd never heard of this before. In the Binyan Siyan, quoted by Ribbis Yehuda. I read it to you. The Binyan Siyan, Chelik Aleph, Siman Samech Hey, the same problem. Oh, let's say it belongs b'shutfus. The Yisrael b'goy b'shutfus. And maybe the Rov is already goyim. He wants to the following shaila. Can you tap this? Even if there are two Jews, it should be mutter, at least midaraisa. Why? Chul and daf kuf lamed hey. Truma, Reishis Agez, Peah, Bechora, Mezuzah, Maisa, Bikurim, Tzitzis, Makeh. In Exeris Akosel, the Rabba Shutfin. Here there's no riboy. All right. So if you don't like that, it's too much for you. At least it'll be with the goy. Why? Because in all those cases, if you look it up in Chul and Kuf Lamed Hey, if the Marbe B'Shutfas and Riboy, Loshen Rabim, okay? But you're mamad shutfus nochi b'mit lashon yachid, and we never heard of this. So lashon apostle is also even if the other partner is a guy. And why didn't the Gemara and Chulin say Ribbis by the other drushes? So I found that Torah's Kohanim. Torah's Kohanim says, Parshas Bahar, Kaspecha v'lo kesef acherim. Yeah. Neshech kesef, l'rabas kesef, neshech l'rabas, etc. So the Korban Aaron says, "Lo kesef acherim, hayno shel nachri Naslo Orav Dikal Mos Ribbis Min Anochri, etc. You see, Kasvas Mamayit Nochri Levad She'en Lo Yisrael Chutzbo U'Meneshach Kesef Stama Marbinan Kol Shesh Yisrael Bo Schus. You know, it's not his mammon. Who cares? Chala Matzah Estrik Matzah Mammon Gavoa is still a miut. Here the marbe. Here the marbe. Otherwise, what's the havamina to be mad marsami kaspecha? Then he's a riboy. Koshkan Ashutvis Yisrael Manochi Marbinan Yisrael Budaneshach. So therefore, the post can never mention anything about this. Finished. And it goes further than that. Either you'll tell me that Shutz for Yisrael V'Nochi is mutter, which is arguable based upon the Gemara, but still it's dependent of Breira. You paskin yesh Breira. Nivra Chelik She Yisrael Kshalava Yisrael. Period. You could argue if it's the Rabbanan. In some cases, you say yesh Breira. But then it goes to Rashi. Rashi says by Digun Lo Shayach Lifter Misham Shutvus Nochi Eladava She Evshel Lechalik Go not sown for Rishis Agez. You can't cut the sheep in half. Avot Tvua Hanechlak B'mida, says Rashi there in Chulin, Karina Bey the Gancha B'Chelka Shel Yisrael Hachanami Hamol Shef Shel Lechalik Chelka Shel Yisrael V'Shel Nochi Shemat Beyas Chalukah saying Lo Shayach Lifter Mitam Shutvus Nochi. Therefore, he knocks the whole thing out. I have no heta. He tried, knocks it all out. I did see, also quoted in the Bris Yud, I believe, something called the Chikrei Lev. The Chikrei Lev, right over here, it's in Simon Kuf Samach Aleph. I think it's subset Tov, Tes Vav Beis. He said like this, he knows about the Rashi. He said, no. When did Rashi say that? Elafiach Pirish Achan the Mandama the Miruach Goy Eino Poter. V'chisiv the Gancha Hainu V'lo Dogon Goy B'lishit of Yisrael. The B'shit of Chayav Aleh Hu the Kaimel and Shapir Ma'ashna Bitzoncha Efshal Lechalek and Efshal Lechalek. Ach the Pirish Rishon Shapirish the Gancha Pirisho Diguncha V'lo Digun Goy Hu Kamandama Miruach Goy Poter Lo Shayach Le Midrash Reish Shutvis of the Gancha Lo kolet gan atzvua kim le melechas atzvua hane miruach uve malacha ma'ashit of shayach bei en chinami lai perusha you have a shayach bei shituf have a dashin bei v'lo shutfus goy bereshis agez v'chol hanach and a mechalek ben dogon lebehema, and that's what we paskin. So he's suggesting this will be a defense of that shita that the Binyan Tzion suggested, but he rejected it based upon the Rashi. Chikralev says that Rashi is shalok hilchasa. So there's still an opinion out there. I'm not saying we should follow it. There's an opinion out there that shutfus goy, at least goy. First you want to say shutfus even to Yidden. Then he's not shutfus goy, but according to this shutfus goy, even if the majority is Jewish, would still make it okay. According to this opinion, this is new to me. This stuff, but it's giving you the full range. Even if all Jews, nothing to do with limited liability. Nothing to do with that. The new Geras HaKosov. He doesn't like it too much with two Jews. He likes it better with a Jew and a Goy. Had a problem with the Rashi, but he takes care of the problem with the Rashi potentially. So we have a possibility found over here in Shut Binyan Tzion, Chelek Aleph Simin Samachei. Oh.
The Breira Derban could also work for Rov Goin, no?
I'm sorry.
Breira Derban would work also with Rov Goin.
Correct. No. So I want to show you the Marit first. I'm reading the words of the Marit. Yitla Ruven Chelke Midavar Mutter Kenegam Mashen Natlo Aniyim Midavar Aser Shari. He quotes Mishnayos about Breira. Mitam Breira, B'Doraisa and Breira. Yeah, back and forth. The Raisa, some say with the Raisa yesh breira. There is such a sheet like that. The machlokes. So the Rabbon at least yesh breira. Kama dvorim toli behen. Most poskim with the Raisa ain't breira. Hava ba'avak Ribbis. Ev shalom akain. Kaven the kaimelin with the Rabbon yesh breira. For parnosim beheim bizman zeh yodem kidei aniyim. Kamim tzrichem the kaimat tanai shisnu harishonim and meruvein zeh. Yicholim heim losses leruvein yimasher vichu anachosim beheter, right? Kenegam asher notlu aniyim This sounds like very much like a Bekivegim. He told you to look in the Marit. Oh, so the Minchas Pitim knows about this Marit. The same place, Siman Kuf Samach. Ochen beguf devi harivosh. The Moshe she Yisrael she bad goy bepikod and the Malvus and Ribbis have a Ribbis ktsutza. Tvihani tuva. The cave and the ein shtichos liakum can be mele en ktsitza sagoyim Yisrael halo veklum. Umadu your Ribbis ktsutza. Doesn't understand. Why? Why the Ribbis ktsutza? The goyish intermediary, who was the one who was in the bank, he's doing it. That's not a proper ktsutza. It's not a proper ktsitza. So it could be midrabanan. Finished. The rivosh? No. What's the rivosh's case? It's not clear what the rivosh's case. After rivosh, Ribbis kutza b'chi agavna, shalvo shemal v'akam liyisrael, hu b'shlichus liyisrael, ha-mafkid, she'omalo, lezeh talva, and Yisrael says, b'kach v'kach Ribbis tiksosimo. Oh, that's the Raisa. But that's the case in our case about the bank. Shadavar toli b'ritzona manhigim havanasam mi lehalvos, to whom and how much they should charge Ribbis. Even the rivosh la Ribbis katzutzahi. Kevan debina ritzi v'das hashliach v'shliach goy lo mahani kol inyan mechira shliach goy. How do you like that? He wants to suggest that although the Taz is right and the rivosh is right, to Ribbis katzutza, he limits the case drastically to a case in which the person told him, lend it to him at this rate of Ribbis. Oh, that's Ribbis K'tutza, even though it's a goy involved. But if in this case of the bank, we don't know to whom, we don't know how much, so it would not necessarily be Ribbis K'tutza. But the Rabboni can say Yesh Breira. And the Rabbi Kiva is quoting that, the Maharit. Oh. Fine. So, this is what the Minchas Pitim says. It's interesting. The Bris Yehuda has this lengthy footnote. I've told you I'm starting it, but for those who want to check up on me, it starts at the very bottom of page Tov Kuv Beis, the bottom line, and this goes all the way to page Tov Kuv Vav. It's talking about a footnote that lasts basically 5 pages, something like that. Of course, the Minchas Pitim. Pkidim Yehudim Efshel Lahakal Yosapi, etc., etc. Whole story. The Marit Nasan Mos Akam Beiska V'Holach LaHakam V'Hilvam LiYisrael B'Ribbis Shemutal LiYisrael LeKabel LeChelg Revach to Akam Adata Denafshi Yovid. Parentheses. Svara Zu Tzarech Iyun Shebenidon Didan Al Das Kain Ishkia Ma'osov B'Chevra. What do you mean Al Das Hasmo? I put it in that company to lend out Ribbis. I thought that kasha is no kasha. It's true to Ribbis. I didn't say to lend it. You tell the bank to lend the money to. Lend the money to Goyim. Oh, I didn't say how much to charge. So I don't see why this parenthesis kasha over here in page Tov Kuvov, towards the end of this footnote, is so powerful. I thought we could give an answer to that question. That's what I thought. Now, the Imre Yosher, by the same author of the Minchas Pitim. I brought him in here somewhere. Give me a second to try to find him. He discusses the same issue. Here it is, Imre Yosher. End of Siman Kuf Peites. Udvama shalovin mi bankin acherim. One bank lends from another bank. Eini odea shem heter. Why? Kim hamenalim Yisraelim bevadai also lulvos beribbis rakim masu heteriska. It did nachrim. Look, I wrote in Minchas Pitim in the Tshuva. Even the Yisraelim have a chelik because the menalim badata denafshayu avdi. In other words, if I have money in a bank and the bank lends out beribbis, so I don't know what they're doing. If I borrow from the bank, I know what I'm doing. See the difference? That's what the Minchas Pitim says. The Gabe Lova lo shach lo maken. I don't know what they're doing. I know what I'm doing. Ava yesh lomar is the very last line. Kaven the ein hamalva over, memela gamalova and over. This is a long story which I spoke about in previous Chaburahs. This is what the Minchas, the Imrayosh comes up with at the end. Okay, avak ribbis especially. There's no issue on the love. Okay, fine. That's what he says. The malva's not over. The lova's not over either. Now we come back to the Sefer Shvilei David that I had before. Again, I'm in Siman Tov Mem Ches in his beautiful Sefer. Os Chav Beis. Oh. Listen to this. What was the kasha that we asked before? What kind of breira? They're still partners. After Shutuf and Cholek Shlomo Das Chavero, that's the way he phrased the question. The Rak Mashanogea LeInyan Mammon. Amina Dadayin Balim Shutfin B'Cholek Halokim. Avamad Nogea LeInyan Isser. Amina Gambazeh Breira. Zel Chelek Shalechad Af B'Li Daita. Whoa, that's quite a big chiddush. Quite a big chiddush. Where'd he get it from? The Kolshken in Marmina the Bottle Mashnogel in Isser, the Chashvin and Chelkam Kinu Eno Klau. The Koma Komposhut, the Mahani Shutrus, Mahanil and Shutrus beside Breira, there's a Chelek Shal Echad Mehen, Madanogel in Isser. Whoa. What's he driving at? Because he quotes the Nesivis. The Nesivis is not the first one to quote the Nesivis. I don't know who quoted this, who was first. Quotes in the Sivas, Os Chaf Aleph. Watch. Because the Toysin Me'ila Chaf Aleph. Pruta Tibata Beruba. After the moment, Shalachem, Lashach Bittel Bekamavur, Kosa Ben Sivas, Reish Chaf Tes, Sifka Aleph. After the moment, Lo Batil, and in Isa Batil. Chazinan after the moment, Lo Poka Shem Balim, Badain Shem Balim Aleph. Al Kapona Mashnogel in Isser. Chashvinen ki'ilu eina shel bailim. How do you like that? He's basing himself on that nesivis. Just like we say there's a bittul barov in the Easter, which is totally the moment, even though the moment we don't say bittul barov. So too, with respect to breira. That's what he says. Whoa. Even though normally we would never say breira in such a case for the reasons we gave earlier. So we had before, let's open it again. The Maram Shik. The Maram Shik said, what kind of breira over here? Is they're still partners. It says as follows. Again, read it again. Breira? No. That's when it doesn't apply over here. Kollel ne ashut v'shelachev and nos and nechalkel v'damel garment al yuma daf nunheim at base. V'hol ein breira. Hayishofras the kinei chova shitin kollel sham to make ken shalom sham chatos hamesos. Yeah, Emma gives his own money. Emma should be ein breira. Right? He called the chasam sofer, etc. He's saying there's no breira is not shaykh over here. The question would be, how can it be? Even if it's the Rabbanan. So you also quote almost the same lashon from the Maharsham. You know, Maharsham is a big koyach of their Torah, but not over here. Simin Kuf Chof. What do you do to have Shpar credit kasa? He added the word credit. We there's one English word that we use, right? Credit. Yeah, and there's one guy, and the one who runs it is a Yid, called the Sholem Meshiv. Yeah. What do you say? And Muvuarim, Lo Shach, Breira, Isa Betaruvis, Yesh Breira, Tosan Tamura. Kama Shalom Erakti, Betshuva, Vevesi, Medivri, Tosas Yontav, Denelmu, Mibal Sholem Meshiv, and Shuvas Chasam Sofer, Rabbim the Shtabsha with Divri Tosan now. He quoted another sefer, and he has the Maram Shik. Here's the Gamkein al Sholem Meshiv, based upon the Tosas Yontif. Then quote the Chasam Sofer, who was his Rebbe. Shama Baal Peh said he quoted Baal Peh, but I have it in the. Yeah. So therefore, It's no good. There's no heter. Doesn't like it. This is important to know. There's no heter over here. All right. But he says maybe there's a heter because it's. You say the Isur is treated differently than the moment. I don't know. That's what he says. That's what he suggests. Most poskim say not shaykh breira at all. Okay, but Shulei David suggests, but the Isur we do say. It's still hard to understand. It's hard to understand. Why should we say such a thing? When you want to say by Bittul Barov, Isur Talib B'Mammon is okay with the Nesiva, that's one thing. Why should it apply to breira or no breira? Oh, so here the Marasham quotes a Shut Sharei Tzedek. I wanted to bring the Sharei. I never heard of the Sharei Tzedek, but I found it in the library. And it's important to see what he says, and it's important to see if some of these kulas that are thrown around have any relevance bisman hazeh, because things have changed, both in terms of the today about the rove, and if we ever get today to the corporations, we probably won't get there. Things have also changed. This is watch. Shvar kasa, kita shechanarach asid. And you were matter, someone was matter it. Yeah. I don't understand Kiddush Shulchan Aruch. Why? It's all going to be a question of what this company is like, and that's going to be that's what ties in the majority to the question of a corporation. There are people who are in charge. Umehem lovim hamos. And you borrow from those experts. V'gamim lava wetzlam or something or other. Hakol b'achrayas adonim. Ken lo dami leha de simen kuf samach to yisur sham davka shu achrayas hamavet ha-Yisrael. Yeah, but there, it's only their responsibility. So b'achrayusam hu rak be'emes ma'at mizer b'bnei Yisrael shenosam mos. Yeah, achakach mat b'bnei Yisrael ruba de ruba. Me'adonim me'umas ha'olam, humos ha'Yisraelim miyuta de miyuta. Ay, mama lo batil. He has the kasha. The end of Masechta Beitza. Hainu b'Torah's bitel im rotzim lahater ataruvas legamri. Avok mikol makom. Listen to this now. The moment called the parish meruba parish. Whoa. 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 In my opinion, the system in that what years ago was this? Lahoros with out of Taf Reish Mem Aleph, 1881. You know why the banks were then? They mamish had money. So in other words, you take a bill out of the bank and you take it home. Oh, says this tshuva, Sharet said that the bill you took, called the parish, you were parish, you took the guy's bill. Chase Manhattan doesn't work that way. So, somebody's heterim, I think I just don't apply at all nowadays. They're talking about a different reality.
Why would it apply less if it's all imaginary now? Why can't I imagine that it's somebody else's money?
I don't think you can do that. You don't say call the parish by imagination. You have to actually take something out. That's what I think. It's interesting. Here in the Bris Yehuda, he quotes this in the parentheses. It's here somewhere. Sharei Tzedek, yeah. Tab of Tav Kuf Hey. Parentheses. Adayin Sarachiyun. Kevan Sha'isa Nasad B'Shas Ktsitza. Shashtachov Nichtav Al Shem Kol HaShutfin. Adayin Lo Shayach Lama Kol the Parish. It was also before you took a bill out. It was already also. Then he says a teretz. V'docha Keish Lama. To Marish Hashtar Nichtav Al Shem HaShutfus. Al Shem HaShutfin. V'kevan De B'Shtar and the Mefur Shem HaYisrael. Mo mitam called the parish kilo any Yisrael shutav ba. Okay, but why didn't he say, Rabbi Bloy, that doesn't apply nowadays? He was living in Sanhedria 50 years ago when he's writing these books. They didn't take dollars out of the bank, even in relatively primitive Sanhedria compared to high-scale Manhattan. They weren't taking shkolim out of their hands. It was with checks and all kinds of other things. So I don't know why he didn't make that comment, but that's what he says in the parentheses. Okay, fine. Now, then he quotes something amazing. This goes to the very bottom of this page, Tov Kuf Hey, Tov Kuf Up. Kuntras Bris Avram, Lagon of Avram Elberg. We know about Rabbi Elberg from here. Maybe it was his father, maybe his uncle. I just don't know. He says, look, Kevan de ein lebali amanoyos deya panholas achevra eino nikra shutaf v'lo shayach bichlal shlichus umutal chuli alma. This is leading us already into the problem which we have to tackle. Now next time, yeah, you're not a shutaf? So who owns it? Who owns it? We'll see soon that he was preceded by others, and we'll get to that. And he says, Yisra shebemomon is batal berov. And then he can say, Kesel shel mafkidim shechel mebreira afkodem shechilku. And a couple of other svaros lahater. So I want to tell you a little bit what he said, because it's important. I have the whole thing here. It was printed out for me. Many pages. You know, the problem with this is, it was printed like in many, Telltale Pios was a periodical. And this spans a whole year. I think there could be, it's in 8 or 9 different Telltale Pioses. So, but they printed it out for me, the whole thing. I'm going to try to give you a few things to look at. I'll give you the Sivkotin. Here he says the same thing we saw before. This is an Os Yud Beis. The Rosh is referring to a case you told him to who to give it and how much to charge Ribbis. That's the case. But over here, no, just give it to the bank. It's different. That's Yud Beis. More relevant to the present discussion is in here in Chaf Hey. He quotes the Horei Psamim that the Yud also quotes, Lo Shayach Breira Kodem Chaluka. And he is daiti nira. The tzadku divrei agon sholem eshiv. V'chein nira, listen to what he says. The hani rabbanon, these great rabbis, lo yubikim b'nimus halichos habankin ha'ela. They lack the technical expertise to know what a bank is. That's why they asked it. What is a bank? He's going to tell you what a bank is. What's a bank? Watch. And this is also written in 1909. So I don't know how primitive things were in 1909 in Hungary. Asher darkam lilvos harbe v'harbe pa'amim yoser miskum mamonim sheshkiu v'chaverim etzel habankin hagedolim b'Medina. In other words, they're taking a chance. They're not covered. You know how it is, like how all the bank, they go bust at the end, they go break at the end because they don't have all the money, like the Ponzi schemes. But not quite Ponzi, but they don't have all the money there. Watch. Yeah. Shekulam nachem, the big banks are all going. Ume'akesef hazeh hem loven u'malben gamkein. So they're borrowing and they're lending, all based on the money which is coming from the big banks. As it says in Maria Levi, Imkain, having mamish k'mole acha shechilku, after they divided it. That's what he's saying. Those who said there's no breira before chalukah, they assumed that all the dollars were in the kitty. And we now we say, okay, close your eyes. The Yid took out Goyish money. The Goy took out Yiddish money. That's assuming all the money's in the kitty. No, that's not how banks work. Not all the money's in the kitty. The money's in the Chase Manhattan Bank. I was the Goyish Bank. That's where the money really is. And they're playing on margins that they're going to be able to make money and not lose everything. That's what he says. Now, this is something which is fascinating. Does it apply nowadays? No. I don't think it applies nowadays at all. He writes over here that this is the lashonos that are being used over here. He says as follows. He says, they like shechilku. It depends upon brera. That's what he says. And he writes the most mischalfos pomim harbe. It's not a regular shutfus. Depends upon brera. Doesn't apply nowadays. Seems to me. But now we have one more thing. I think I'm going to have to just cut my Chaburah a little bit short. I want to get into the corporations, but I can't get too much into corporations. This I have to tell you right now, because otherwise I'm leaving it too much hanging. It's a beautiful sefer called the Nesivas Shalom and Ribbis. He tackles this issue. This is spoken about in previous Chaburahs as well. Kuf Ayin Gimel Sif Tes. Watch. Ulemaise noktim haposkim bizmanenu. He quotes from Moshe, which we didn't talk about yet. Hitir halva b'ribis l'chev be'arva mugbal. Ein kan Torah halva. Kemen she'en kan shibud aguf. Einem amurim lagabi halva libank. But not to a bank, from a bank. That's Rav Moshe's distinction. But then he says as follows. These are the words I'm quoting from Os Mem Beis. The poskim hold Cheves Menoyos or bank Hashem B'Shlitas Yehudim. There's no heter. But if Rova Menoyos Hashida Heshel Goyim, Eishkan Bali Menoyos Yehudim, Asher Einam Misarvim Klal B'Niyu LaChevra Mekilim Tvei. So LaHachshiv Chelik Zeh Shel Menoyos Keshutvis Gemurah Shel Yisrael Then Isa Torah. Minchas Yitzchak makes this distinction between Menoyos Sheyesh V'Chon Zchus Hatzbah, you have voting rights, the Menoyos Sheyesh Zchus Hatzbah, you have no voting rights. V'av Shebialma Mishikach Shutuf B'Yasok V'Yasek Motanai Shlotiel Zchus Lachlit Klal B'Nyonei Shutfes Mikol Makom having Shutuf Gomer Mikol Makom Hacha She'eno Shutuf Gomer Elarak Bal Chelik Muot Me'od Me'achevra V'Kam Ein Lo Zchus La'Bia Dea B'Nyon Achevra Ein Miskaven Klal Hasazos Ein Lo Torah's Ba'al Alamos Loma Shel Helives Ma'osa B'Ribbis Kain Shomanu Me'agrish Shel Yashiv Shlita. Now the end. V'ein HaKavana B'Zalomar Shanudonim Es HaMol Sheshkia Adam B'Chevra V'Zu B'Zeh Shekona Es HaMnoya Kimol's Halvo L'Chevra. Who said that? The Maram Shik said that. The Maram Shik said, I think Rabbi Bleich had something a little similar in one of his Chaburahs. The Maram Shik claims, I don't know what's true exactly, the Maram Shik claims that what happens over here? He says, what really happens, I have to know what exactly what's the story of the Chevra? V'keven shebeirarnu, shekol bali hashutfas hem rak kemalvin v'lovin. They're not the owners. They're not the owners. They're like Malvin Velovin. So remember, get this strip. Maram Shik is the Talmud of the Chasam Sofer. The Maharshag is a Talmud of the Maram Shik. So the Maharshag is a kasha. I have his truvia here too. Yoredeya Chelik Hey. He's got to find it somewhere in here. He has the kasha which everybody asks. Everybody. Hine hagam asher mi anochi laharach adivri moiv Rabbi Agons. That's how the Maram Shik. Ach Torah v'lim la nitzarach. But Omar she'eni meven dvarim halalu. The mashiniach liyasod amos asher bakasa ena shel shutfin ha'aksirin and meshubah lehem mishum the kollel v'echad hilvam also shalosh shutfus eni meven. Tim kain lemi shayach guf amos asher bakasa. Who does it belong to? Who does it belong to? Belongs to nobody. So I don't want to talk about that, I don't have time. So the Rav Osher Weiss has a tshuva. We have his tshuvas here. No. We'll get it for the next Chaburah. You know what he says? Belongs to the corporation. He believes that the corporation is a legitimate entity in halacha. He has proofs and proofs and proofs. And I thought, it's just not correct. We can't make things like this up. Who ever heard of such a thing? But that's his answer to this question. However, I believe the Maram Shik didn't know about Rav Osher Weiss, and he knew about the Marshag's kasha. I think is what he held. I mean, it's going to relate to Rav Moshe. What Rav Moshe really held, I should give a little comic attraction just to make it interesting. In Rav Moshe's original tshuva, he writes, "Yeah, we know they have these people. They start corporations, and the Yidden they go into it, and the originators keep the majority for themselves. So they are the Bailim, and everyone else is just not really an owner." That's what the Maram Shik meant. He assumed, as I read it to you, Malva Valova, there were Goyisha originators. Rockefeller started a bank, and the Yiddelach wanted to get a piece of the action, so they bought in. So he is assuming they were only lending and borrowing, but it's really all owned by Rockefeller, the original Rockefeller. So Rabbi Bleich asked the question, when Rockefeller died, so then who owns it? So I think he said the Yorshim own it. But which is probably what the Maram Shik holds that way, that it's owned, the original own. Now, what the problem is going to be, what if the facts changed? What if the facts changed? When they founded it, from the very beginning they founded it, there was no original Goyish owner. Didn't exist. Oh, why am I saying that? Because we'll have to talk about it more, Mr. Shem, next time. What Rabbi Reese spoke with credit unions, and they say that Rav Moshe is machmer by credit unions. How can it be? Why is a credit union any different than a bank? So he explains, I think, pretty cogently what he thinks. The reason he thinks that there's a difference. I think he has credit unions, and look up the credit union. Nun Tes. Lashida Sigros Moshe. Yeah. So what's the story? What did Rav Moshe say? What did he say? So he said, as Rabbi Reitz pointed out, the original tshuva that Rav Yashiv quotes is about Chilul Shabbos. I have no daya. Nothing to do with anything. I have no daya. I don't want to be a Bailim. Yeah. Nothing. It's Petula Mila. It's nothing. And Rav Yashiv quotes this from Rav Moshe. It's a Shita Chadasha. Different than I quoted from the Bris Yehuda. They made, in Bris Yehuda, no difference if you have a day, you have no day. What's the difference? Either it's all Asur, or it's all Mutter. Rav Moshe, apparently, he says, holds like the Oshim. Even Miut should from the Yisraelim. Even 1 out of 1,000 to be a problem. Here's a new Chiddush. If there are many shutfin, right, and they sell shares, so there's a, what does that mean? There's a Bailus Malaya. At first glance, it's a closed company, not a public company. It's a privately held company. Then they start selling shares. Those to whom they sell shares have no daya, because the Baalim is shiruli asim larov. That's what Moshe writes. The Baalim kept the rov for themselves. They should be able to be told Baalim Gemurim. You don't have to care about the Baalim Anoyos. So then, I'm not giving you a partnership. I'm just giving you future profits. You have a voting right. Petuni mili b'yalma. But the Shpar Kasa in the Achronim, the Bris Yehuda, the bank was nisyaseh lechatchila. Are they Kollel shivkidu mos bank? I'm not sure if that's true. That's how he's saying it's the facts. There it's also according to Rav Moshe. They were all original owners. And those poskim were mekel, not because there's no din of Bailim. Breira, Bittul Barov, which we didn't like so much. Says in the next paragraph, Shutfas Regila, even one Shutaf Yisrael will ask of everybody. You have to worry about credit unions. Credit unions. Could be Rav Moshe will be masking it's also. Shamati mi'agon Rav David Feinstein was on Shlita. She'also livos mi credit union mitam zeh. Rav Moshe asked credit unions. Now there were those who claimed it was a Jewish credit union. I saw in Yeshua and they just can't believe that. That's not credible. Federal credit unions should be most Jews. Od Sarachim B'Shidus Tigras Moshe. Kema Shemetzius Hishtana Mizman Tigras Moshe U'Ba'Vichavris Gedolos Ein L'Shum Echad O Kvusa Rova Menoyos. No one has a majority. No one individual, no one group of founders. So therefore, Rav Moshe should come out there. Should be also according to Rav Moshe. Page Nun Tes and Samach in the Sefer, the new edition of Mishnas Ribbis. I'm just giving you heads up. So now I just want to conclude with what I think Pshat over here is as follows. Back to Nesivas Shalom, page Tuf Pei. Hakavana. Nehi shebal hamanoya hu shutav b'chevra, and he gets profits. Baluso zu he balus rofefes b'liz chutz shlita klal. Val balus kazu lo hitila Torah isurim. Vein donem osa kemalvo lova b'Ribbis. Chinot erishal yoshev shlita loma. Umehaytayim badata in tzorach lochosh mikaradin b'menoya shel chevra mechalel Shabbos. And karvadav alom and isa b'chomas b'Pesach. Af sheyesh b'balas ha'chevra chometz. And this is saying, which is unbelievable, literally unbelievable. Lidvarov heterazeh nema gam b'chevra shibabalas Yehudim. The after Armina the Bala Manoya who shutuf b'chevra who notel chel mirvacher mikom makom ein lo din ba'alim in isurei Torah. What? An entirely Jewish corporation? Can't be. At the end he says, yeah, we borrow from Beth Goyish banks, even though there's some. What do you mean? What does this Balas Rofefis mean? There's not a Elyashivian terminology. He wasn't that kind of a posik. He had some kind of a halachic framework to explain what it means Balas Rofefis. I'm going to give you my suggestion. What do you mean you have no shlita? You don't control it. We have a rule. What's the rule? The rule is, there's a concept called Davar she'eino b'rishuso. That's a halachic concept. It belongs to me, but you stole it from me. So although it still belongs to me, I have no control over it. Davar she'eino b'rishuso is a halachic construct. And I believe what he's saying over here, or I think what he's saying, I'm trying to say pshat what he's saying, that if it's Davar she'eino b'rishuso, there's no way chametz, which it can be explained, but maybe next time. And more than that, the actions being done by the conglomerate, if I have no control over what they're doing, do not relate to me. Not the Chilul Shabbos doesn't relate to me. Not the Avoah, Ribbis doesn't relate to me. However, if I have voting rights, he's mekil only if the majority is goyim. Why is that so? I'll explain to you why it's so. If the majority is Jewish, I myself have nothing to say. I have a tiny bit. But if all the Jews would get together and constitute a majority, we'd be able to do what we wanted to do. This reminds me of a Beis Shmuel in Siman Chav Ches. What am I doing? Siman Chav Ches? In Ebenezer? The Gemara tells us that if someone stole, neither of them, the Gazel nor the Nigzel, cannot be maknashit. Zel if yishena shalo, v'zel if yishena b'shuso. What happens if the Gazel and the Nigzel will get together and decide, let's make it hektish. All right, I stole, you were a victim. Let's put it aside. We'll give it to hektish that's stoken and shalom al Yisrael. The Beis Shmuel says it works. It works. Now, should it work or shouldn't it work? The Avnei Meluim there, that's in Beis Shmuel. Chav Chesed Konte Zayin. Avnei Meluim Yud Gimel says whether Shadash should work or not, it depends. It's a famous machloikus at the beginning of the fourth paragraph of Baba Kama between the Balamor and the Ramban. What's the pshat Eila B'Shusa? Balamor said it's not in your control. So once I agree to give it back to you, so then you can be makneh right away. I agree to give it back to you. I still have it in my drawer. I'll give it to you. Give me 10 minutes. I'll go get it, give it to you. The Ramban says no. The Ramban says, Eina b'shus is not just a matter of the Metzias. It's a chesaron, and it's a halachic chesaron. If it's not in your control, it's a halachic chesaron. And the Malum claims that this Beis Shmuel would only be true according to the Baal Hamor, and would not be true according to the opinion of the Ramban. Okay, perhaps. That's my understanding of what Balas Rofefes means. And there's much more to say, but I already spoke an hour. My next turn, whatever it's going to be, B'mher of Yomeinu, I want to talk about corporations and why I think that Rabbi Bleich is 100% right. There's no heter. Moshe, I do not understand. Whether it's the Rabbanon, the Rice, I want to talk about that. Because maybe it's only the Rabbanon. Maybe. Could be said the Rice. But that's obviously what we say next time. We'll connect to this time, and this time connect to next time. But I'd like to speak for more than for 1 hour. So we'll stop here.